Hi, my name is Krista Perez. I'm in Dr. Martino's class and I'm currently taking EDU 525. Some dispositions I believe I possess would be one, advocacy. I'm a big advocate for myself as well as my students and colleagues. At my last job, I was voted the shop steward union representative, and that's because my colleagues felt that I was right for the position. They knew that I would stand up and fight for equality and fairness. And I'm the same way with my students. I go above and beyond, and I would reach out to resources that would benefit my students and families, as well as colleagues if they needed it. And that's why I was voted a shop steward. That's why I'm big on advocacy. The next one would be compassion. I am a compassionate person. I don't do things without meaning. I do things without meaning, but if it's not meaningful, if it doesn't have a purpose, it's not something that sits well with me. And in order to teach children, that's something that comes from the heart, and I believe in that. Another disposition would be dedication. I'm dedicated to the work. I'm dedicated to being an educator. I'm dedicated to learning more, and I believe that's a great disposition to have. Next would be curiosity. I'm curious. I like to know things. The ability to ask questions, and it gives them a chance to use their critical thinking skills to push on that curiosity. Another disposition is honesty. I take pride in being honest, and I feel like that's the best way to be. I'm someone who, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to get it done because all I have is my word. And I think that's great to role model in the classroom. I am never going to answer a question I don't know and give false information. I will always say like, hey, that's a great question, but can I get back to you because I don't have the answer right now. And my last disposition would be respect for the diversity of others. I think this is very important because I've dealt with families from different backgrounds, cultures, religions, sexual orientations. I dealt with families who are homeless. I dealt with children who are in the foster system. And I think that everyone brings a unique experience to them. I also do enjoy getting to know more about families and understanding their values and traditions because I want to be competent in all areas. I want to be knowledgeable, and I never want to overstep my boundaries when it comes to different cultures, as well as making my classroom a welcoming environment. That's very important. I want all my students and families to feel included in the classroom. Some dispositions I believe I need to work on, and I'm working on currently, would be professional conduct. Although I come to work on time, I dress appropriately. I've been in situations where it's not what I say, it's how I say it, and it came off as being unprofessional, and that's something that I'm working towards. Another disposition would be high expectations. My goal for children is always to have high expectations of them. However, there's been times where I'm like, wow, I'm doing all this work and this child is not progressing where they should, in my opinion. However, I know now that all children learn differently at their own pace, and they have different learning styles. So those are two dispositions that I will continue working on, and I'm currently working on right now. The most important thing for me is building a rapport with families. And I do that by asking questions, making sure they feel welcome from the start of the year. I take great pride in having strong relationships with my families. And to this day, when I was working as a preschool teacher, my families would leave and come back to visit me, and I enjoy that. That just shows how much they care. That just shows how much respect we had for one another. And it's always nice to see my students and see how far they progress. And learning more about the families actually gives me a better insight on the children's individuality, because I know they come from different traditions and values, and maybe we can use that in the classroom. And I also like to ask parents to volunteer because that also builds strong relationships. As far as biases, that does affect students due to the fact that maybe a teacher has these stereotypes or notions of who this child is, and they're not giving them a chance to really get to know them and be that individual. This is why if teachers need to be very self-aware and make sure that if they do have these biases, that they take the opportunity to do the research and learn more about the diversity of the students, but also give that child a chance. They're not coming in as these stereotypes that you have in the back of your mind. Give them a chance. Everyone deserves to be treated fairly. And if you're biased or have these biases, you're not going to treat those students fair. Lastly, I personally enjoy feedback. I think it makes me a better teacher. I like to know where I need to work on, what needs to be progressed, and the same thing for my students. That's why I rely on the data and the assessments, so I know what are my students' strengths and what are their weaknesses, and work on having these students reach their fullest potential. Thank you.